Welcome everybody to 12 quick random comic book story reviews, where I blindly pick a bunch of comic books off one of my shelves. I'll say a few sentences about them with very little spoilers, and then I'll give them a grade. So let's get started with this episode. Okay, let's start this episode with Books of Doom. Ed Brubaker was given the task of fleshing out Dr. Doom's backstory more deeply than ever before, and he delivers admirably. He gives Doom a strong, authentic voice. Doom speaks and behaves exactly as he should. The book does a solid job exploring his relationship with his parents, as well as the tension between science and magic that defines him. Book 2 was my favorite. There's some really gripping moments there. That said, I wasn't a fan of how Doom was drawn. I was hoping for a more menacing visual take. Also, the final book, Book 6, felt like the weakest part of the series. The momentum just fizzles out and I was left wanting more. It's a strong story overall, but it didn't offer any new revelations for me. I needed one more spark to push it into the A range. B. Okay, let's go to Batman Red Rain. This is a mundane vampire story. Essentially, that is all this is. I was waiting for something to command my attention, to lift my imagination, and I found nothing. All supporting Batman characters here are just flat, hollow versions of themselves. It's just basic Dracula stuff painted like it's something grand. But thank goodness for Kelly Jones's art, which supplies awesome shadowing and haunting atmosphere. But just looking at this plot, this is an ultimate letdown. D. Alright, let's go to The Hulk, The End. I'm reviewing Future Imperfect and the one-shot The End together since they're collected as a single narrative. Right from the start, the story throws you into a vivid, fully realized world. You're not quite sure where you are or what's going on, but that's part of the magic. The writing is so strong, it pulls you in effortlessly. The premise is both brilliant and refreshingly simple, and while it treads on familiar ground, it's executed with such skill that it feels completely fresh. So many fascinating ideas and twists and reveals, they're all packed in this story, but it never feels rushed or crammed. Everything just works. I can't emphasize enough how much fun this is to read. The Maestro is an absolute blast. A. Alright, let's go to The White Knight Presents Harley Quinn. From the very first pages, this book does grab you. The dialogue flows effortlessly, creates a warm, inviting tone, and Harley's journey, navigating life without the Joker and adjusting to single motherhood, is rather heartfelt. The art style evokes the charm of a classic Disney movie like 101 Dalmatians, giving the story an almost magical feel, complemented by a straightforward, cohesive plot. However, the villains are the weak point. The producer has potential as a menacing antagonist, especially with his connections to Gotham's elite, and I always appreciate when writers introduce new rogues to Batman's world. Unfortunately, writer Katana Collins doesn't develop him well enough to make a lasting impact. I'm doubtful we'll see the producer anytime soon. B-. Let's head over to Captain America, Castaway and Dimension Z. After years of Ed Brubaker's run on Captain America, which was filled with betrayal, espionage, and World War II scenes, Rick Remender takes the character in a radically different direction. This story is bleak, it's miserable, it's emotionally draining, and I appreciate the shift. The raw desperation Captain America experiences while trying to protect and raise a child in an alien world, it's difficult to watch, but that's what makes it compelling, even though it's hard to read at times. John Romita Jr.'s artwork is strong for me. While his style divides readers, I think his ability to depict brutal violence and convey narrative through visuals makes him an undeniably strong storyteller. But that being said, the story does suffer from several unclear and unexplained plot points that weigh it down. C+. Okay, let's head over to Cyborg, Danger in Detroit. There is no need to pick up this Cyborg rebirth run by John Schemper Jr. This is volume 2, so at this point it's 13 issues in, and there is no sight of an ending to a dull, messy, wordy storyline. It has killer rats, it has crazy randomness, and it has a plot which feels like the same plot Cyborg is always going to be trapped in. I'm not sure if writers can make majority of us care about Cyborg. It's sad, but maybe he's just for teen books. I'm not sure. But on the other hand, the art is detailed and it's outstanding, and it's by Will Conrad, and I feel he's ready for big time books. But this is an F. Okay, let's go to Old Man Logan, The Last Ronin. So Logan in this story, he's hunting Lady Deathstrike, which leads him to Japan, which leads to a new secret ninja clan he didn't know about, which leads to him getting thrashed. But Logan is so persistent, he's so ferocious and has a healing factor, so he keeps going and going until he wins. We all read this story before. However, The Last Ronin does fill you in on how Logan and Maureen started their life together and ended up in California in Hulk territory. And also, the art is crazy innovative and super impressive. Overall though, this is a C-. Okay, let's go to Nova, Volume 6, Realm of Kings. This story arc is the end of Dan Abnett's and Andy Lanning's solid Nova run. They spent the whole series reinventing the character for the modern era, and they succeeded tremendously. Nova has never been so interesting, so dynamic, and they made Richard Rider one of my top 10 favorite heroes. Well, this volume throws all that away and reverts back to 70s style comics with a boring plot, boring villain, and boring conflict. This book is an insult to what Nova meant for this time period in the Marvel Universe. F. Alright, let's jump to Fear State. Now I'm going to review the entire storyline here. It's a 12-issue arc that spans a full year, so I'm going to include the Cowardly Lot in Fear State. Going in, I wasn't particularly excited about this event, but the Cowardly Lot quickly changed my mind. I found the story compelling, largely because Batman is portrayed as an absolute badass. There were several moments that had me thinking, hell yeah, Batman. I thought the Peacekeeper arc was solid, Ghostmaker was less irritating than he was in Ghost Stories, Miracle Molly was a welcome addition, and Scarecrow's redesign was visually satisfying. Fear State picks up where Cowardly Lot leaves off, and while the quality dips a bit, it still managed to keep me engaged. I enjoyed it more than Joker War, though it does revisit some overused themes like the idea that Batman does more harm than good for Gotham. The real standout here, though, is artist Jorge Jimenez. His work on this book is absolutely stunning, so much so that it often covers up the story's weaker moments. The art is mesmerizing and elevates the entire experience. B. Okay, let's head to Aquaman the Trench. Sometimes, simplicity is the key. This story follows a classic formula seen in movies like Alien, Jaws, and Predator, which is a deadly threat emerges and the hero must confront it. When done well, that is all you need. Overcomplicating the plot can actually dilute the tension. I never quite understood the Aquaman mockery. Sure, he talks to fish, but he also swims at 7,000 miles an hour and survives the crushing pressure of the deep ocean. Jeff Johns smartly addresses those tired jokes in this volume, giving Aquaman some long overdue respect. A solid start that sets the stage for a fantastic New 52 run. B+. Alright, now let's head to the Mighty Thor, Avengers Disassembled, which suffers from breakneck pacing and uneven presentation that ultimately undermines what should have been an unforgettable top-tier Thor story. The concept of Ragnarok, arguably one of the most monumental arcs in Norse mythology, is rushed through at 200 miles an hour with little to no breathing room for emotional reflection. This is supposed to be the end of everything, yet the narrative barely pauses to let the gravity of events sink in. There's little time to explore the weight of what's actually unfolding here. Real dialogue and character introspection are sacrificed in favor of jumping from one dramatic moment to the next. We're hit with a barrage of ideas and scenes, and it feels like the reader is expected to piece them together without much guidance or narrative cohesion. That said, there are standout moments. Thor's sacrifice to gain the all-knowledge is powerful. The battle scenes are intense, and the artwork, especially the depiction of those who sit above in shadow, is stunning. But in the end, it all feels too compressed. This story needed at least 2 to 3 more issues to live up to its potential. And why is it even titled The Mighty Thor Avengers Disassembled? This arc deserves its own standalone identity, not to be tacked on to another event. The story had the bones of something epic, but the execution makes it feel smaller than it should have. D. Alright, for this episode's final book, let's go to Hellblazer, The Rake at the Gates of Hell. This is Garth Ennis' final Hellblazer story arc, and it delivers a satisfying mix of horror, drama, and closure, tying up several lingering threads. It also features maybe the most emotional version of Constantine I've seen. He cries a lot in this book. But my favorite parts revolve around his ex-girlfriends. 2 of them appear in the story for very different reasons, and their scenes were the most compelling for me. The downside? Well, there's a forced race riot in the city for some reason, but that doesn't bother me. it's the ending, just slightly. If Innes changed one small thing, I would have considered this maybe one of the greatest Hellblazer stories ever told, maybe number 1 or number 2. Also, Constantine's emotional swings sometimes feel abrupt and unconvincing, shifting from one extreme to another in an instant. Still, this story sticks with me. I think about it often, so I'm giving it an A-. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching this episode, but I'll be back real soon with another 12 quick, random comic book story review.